Welcome back into the Motor Index, folks. And well, we have a lot to discuss on today's show. We're going to recap last week's race at Nashville, Ryan Blaney getting his first win of the season there. And then we're going to preview this weekend's race in Michigan, the only 2 mile racetrack left in the NASCAR Cup Series. So, yeah, let's get started. Nashville. Ryan Blaney gets his first win of the regular season. And probably, should have another win or two if you're Ryan Blaney so far. I think he's got 5 DNFs already, so kind of crazy there with the bad luck, getting wrecked and whatnot, um, engine failures and the likes, and yeah, so great for Ryan Blaney. Definitely the best car on the evening there in Nashville. Started not towards the front. Great strategy call from Jonathan Hassler there in the first stage, letting Ryan run really long on those tires, proving that the tire advantage with new tires was not going to matter very much, because he was able to lay down consistent lap times with old tires and not get caught. So he runs that stage long, pits towards the end of it, and then pretty much stays up around the lead for most of the remainder of the race. Maybe not necessarily in the lead, but in the mix. Um, and then, yeah, so stage two then goes on to be a complete wreck fest with, it felt like, the big thing, obviously we like to say cautions breed cautions. Well, especially at Nashville, obviously we saw how last year's race ended with the Joey Logano victory in fifth overtime. It kind of felt like we saw a lot of that in the second stage. And then towards the end of that second stage, we had that crazy battle between Ryan Blaney, who ended up leading at the end of that stage, and I believe got the stage win there in stage two. But between Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, and William Byron, definitely will be one of those ones that goes on those, NASCAR highlight reels of the best battles. Just ridiculously good racing. Though, apart from that, it was pretty difficult to pass at Nashville this weekend. Although I think this race is getting a lot more flack than it deserves. I thought it was a pretty compelling race all over, or overall. I thought the strategy, especially, like I said, how Blaney got to the front, and for some other guys, I thought had some pretty compelling strategies play out. Um, and then we get into stage three, long green flag run, and we all know the vintage Blaney on green flag runs is typically the strongest car as the run goes on, which obviously held up. They have the green flag pit cycle, goes green through that. He comes out in front, and that was pretty much all she wrote there. And then some other storylines to hit on in not Michigan, Nashville. Hosfar versus Ricky Stenhouse. Obviously, if you were watching, you saw what happened. But my opinion on it at least is that, yeah, probably not a great look from Hocevar there, and he'll definitely get the payback at some point. But to say that it was like a crazy dirty move, I wouldn't say that. I just think it was hard racing, and he did not give him the inch when he probably could have. It wasn't like he did something super egregious. But no, I totally get why Ricky's mad and why some people are giving Hosfar some flack. But I mean, just listen to what a lot of people are saying. Comparing him to his racing style, at least, to Dale Earnhardt. Obviously, we're not comparing the success yet. He's a rook, or he's still way too young. But the racing style, that's what made Earnhardt, a fan favorite, was, not being afraid to, bump and run somebody. And obviously, bump and run is probably not the right way to put it at Nashville, but you guys know what I mean with what's the word, contact and stuff. So yeah, Hosfar ends up finishing second on the night, which fantastic result for Carson Hosfar, his second place finish of the season. The other one coming at Atlanta, or was that Atlanta? That Atlanta was either a second or a third place, but I'm forgetting. But and then another notable finish, you had Eric Jones in seventh. Great run for Eric Jones, probably one of his going to be one of his best runs of the season. He had a little tang up with Christopher Bell there. Another one where he probably could have given, but and maybe less take, but that's just racing. I don't know what to tell him. Bell still ended up in the top 10, so not really too bad for Christopher Bell, but yeah, it was pretty aggressive there on a lot of those restarts, and that concrete was pretty slick. Um, and kind of taking me to my last point about Nashville with the concrete has proven to not be a very easy thing in terms of passing. Um, a lot of those concrete tracks, not the greatest. Though I will say this, I do think this race as a whole is getting a little overhated. I don't think it was nearly as bad as some online are making it out to be, but I would say it's a good enough race for sure. Not every race is going to be a banger, but also not every race is terrible. Like people like you, if you were just judging all the races by the online discourse afterwards, you would think that every race just sucks. Like this race did not suck. There was a lot of compelling storylines, a lot of compelling strategy, great racing at times. So I don't know what to tell people on that, but at the end of the day, I enjoyed that race. I think it got a 67% in the Jeff Gluck poll, which I would have thought it would be probably in the 75 to 80 range. 80 might be pushing it, but definitely above 75, in my opinion at least. So, yeah, congrats to Ryan Blaney. Probably overdue for that win, but locks himself in the playoffs and now can kind of take some more risks, especially on his part. I could see them being one of those people at some of these road courses coming up and stacking a lot of these, playoff points at the end of the stages. That's something that they could definitely be in the mix for the Blaney camp. So yeah, because Penske, not really known for being a big power player on the road courses. So yeah, heading on into Michigan, though, I'm really excited for Michigan. I love this racetrack. I think it's incredible with the next gen car. The only bad part is I am unless my flight gets delayed, I'm probably going to be on a flight for most of this race. So that sucks, but I will watch it when I get home. And yeah, so obviously we know what type of track Michigan is. Incredibly fast, probably the fastest current track in the sport. 2 mile racetrack, only one remaining in the Cup Series with the demolition of Auto Club Speedway. Hate it. Especially given the final race at Auto Club back a couple years ago, probably one of the best races Auto Club's ever seen. Then they tear it down. Great. But no, Michigan, I fully expect this to be a really exciting race for several reasons. Obviously, like I said, the speed is mesmerizing. I love just going and watching the fan recordings when they go up to next to the fence and record the flybys at Michigan. It's just so good. It really just gets the juices flowing and makes you feel like you're at the racetrack. Michigan's certainly one I've got to hit eventually because I got to see what that speed's like in person. I bet it's awesome. Just like when I was just at Talladega. So, but yeah, strategy element will be a big factor here at Michigan. A lot of two versus three stop strategies will be a factor. Tires will definitely matter a little more than last week, just given the track surface. It's not going to be concrete; it'll be asphalt. So yeah, we'll see. I think there's a lot of ways this race could go. We mentioned Carson Hocevar earlier. It's his home racetrack. It's also Brad Keselowski's racetrack. And don't quote me on it. It might be Eric Jones's home track. Do not quote me on that. I thought I heard that somewhere, but pretty sure that this is home racetrack for Keselowski as well. Definitely is for Hocevar. Could potentially be a big winning opportunity for Hocevar if he can put it all together. I don't know about Keselowski. I know RFK's been pretty fast here before, but that's been more so with the 17 of Buescher, not necessarily Keselowski. Who knows? Maybe Preece with the speed he's had recently, maybe he's a factor. But and then another home racetrack type vibe that Michigan provides is with Penske. with the whole Ford connection in Detroit and Michigan and stuff. So that is a big aspect of this weekend. But let's get on into my race picks. So Tyler Reddick won here last year. You can make a very compelling case for him to win this race, or Bubba for that matter. Both the 2311 cars have been really good here before, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure I trust the speed I'm seeing out of the 2311 camp right now, especially after the news I saw today about them losing the lawsuit to NASCAR, which I'm sure I'll have to make another video about that. But yeah, so I'm not picking Reddick. It could potentially be a factor. Same with Bubba Wallace. But for my winner, I'm going with William Byron. I think he's just been so good and not getting it done. I think he's way overdue for a win, sort of like Ryan Blaney in the sense. It's kind of hard to believe William Byron has one win this season. Like, when you really think about it, that's kind of hard to believe. So, I think this is when William Byron finally gets it done. I saw somebody saying, or I saw some stats regarding the speed statistics here, and that it really points to Chevrolet and Hendrick. So we're going to have to see. Other contenders, like I just mentioned, Hendrick Motorsports, definitely Kyle Larson, maybe a Chase Elliott in the mix, though that Chase Elliott car, I don't know. I've not seen race-winning speed out of it. I've definitely seen contending speed, in the top 10, but I've yet to see. I think the last time I saw the race winning speed from them was at Kansas, and I'm forgetting how that race kind of unfolded. Obviously, Larson dominated, but the only other guy to lead anything on that day was Chase Elliott. Yeah, I don't know. Chase Elliott really needs to, get a win soon, I think, to calm some fans' nerves on him. But yeah, Denny Hamlin, another guy who could definitely see winning here. I remember last year, I believe he wrecked from the lead in the first stage, if I'm remembering correctly. So yeah, I think Denny would like to put in another solid run. Had a bunch of speed last week, and he's going to probably bring that here this week. It's just a matter of putting it all together, and it's so hard to win in this sport, man. I think, and I mean, Denny will admit it. Everybody in the garage will admit it. I mean, it's got to just be so frustrating having and same for my race winner, or race winning pick, William Byron. Just how hard it is to win in the NASCAR Cup Series, even when you do so many things right. It just takes one thing to go wrong and you're done. So, Ryan Blaney, another guy I think could definitely be in the mix. Just overall, like I mentioned earlier, so good on these types of racetracks, and just one thing after another happened. I do worry, and I also do have Logano here written down. The one thing I do worry about with this is the Penske blow-ups that we've seen this year. Michigan obviously going to be pushing the cars to the very limit. Yeah, that's one I worry about. That is certainly something I worry about. So yeah, we'll definitely have to see with that. Carson Hocevar, I certainly think he's going to be in the mix, and wouldn't that be something? Get his first race win here at his home racetrack. That would be a huge storyline, and I think he's definitely got the speed to do it. It's a matter of making sure you're in contention for the win when it matters, not in the beginning of the race. So, and that's been a little bit of his problem this year, running well for a lot of the race, and then something goes wrong. So, we'll see if he can put it all together. And then the last guy I've got written down here is Chris Buescher, who I believe won here a couple years ago. But it's just that he's really good here, and I don't know. I think he's going to need a win here. I don't see him pointing his way in the current setup, though I do think he's got some really good opportunities, especially at the road courses. Those are some tracks that he's a little underrated at, believe it or not. Obviously won at Watkins Glen last year, so we'd all know that. But I do think this is one of the tracks that RFK Racing teams got circled for. Buescher is definitely this weekend. So, yeah, with that being said, I think we've covered everything. But yeah, should be a really, really good race. I'm really looking forward to it, even though I will be in the air during it. But I will hopefully get to see a little bit of it before that flight, and then obviously finish it after the flight. So Yeah, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for my race recap after this race. And then I got some more videos coming down the line this next coming week, specifically about the Earnhardt documentary and kind of my full thoughts on that, and a bunch of my takeaways. So, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and take care, everybody. God bless.